Hey, what's up? Joe in Vegas here. Another review. This is an interesting one. I had plans last night. I had tickets that I bought to go see David Spade and Ray Romano at the Mirage. That show started at 10. We were going to have dinner first and then just go to that show. But that afternoon, I was offered some free tickets to go see David Foster. Um, I didn't know much about David Foster until a couple years ago. I knew the name. I kind of knew he was a big producer. I didn't know anything. A few years ago, I watched a Netflix documentary and was blown away. I really was. This guy is a fascinating guy. Incredible how successful some of these guys are. You really don't realize it till you watch something about them, and it's like hit after hit after hit, and artist after artist that he helped find and groom and really blow up, and his personality is really interesting, and he's a real cocky son of a bitch, and he's got his reality show side with the Jenners and the Kardashians, and he's got his own history of, I remember as a kid when Ben Vereen got hit. That was all I knew was Ben Vereen got hit by a car. You watch this documentary, turns out he's the fucking guy who hit Ben Vereen. So he had all these. He's a really layered guy, really interesting guy. I found that documentary fascinating, and that was that. So when I got offered to see him at the Wynn. My experience with these shows at the Wynn and the Encore is they're always great. Whoever's playing there, it's a great, great room. I think it's 1,500 people maybe. Very, very intimate room, and they get monster artists there. So anytime you get a show, even if you don't know any of the music or any of the material of anybody playing at the Wynn, it's usually a top-notch show, and that's what I got. I was blown away last night. So the kicker is I had to leave a little early to make it. So I got through an hour and a half of the show. I missed probably the last three or four songs, which I'm pretty sure were the Whitney Houston stuff and maybe some of the Chicago stuff, which is some of his biggest stuff. I would have loved to stay, but you know, duty calls. It's hard. I mean, basically went to three shows last night, so it's a lot. So, but no one posted the set list, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of it by memory. Overall, it's exactly what you think it is. It's Foster sitting down at a piano. He's got a little band behind him that's top notch. And he starts telling stories. He goes through all his different hits. He starts with like the Winter Games anthem. Then he talked about the St. Elmo's Fire, how he wrote the theme. And then he was asked by the producer or director to make an up-tempo song. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he pretended like he saw the movie, but he really never saw the movie. He was inspired by some news story about a guy in a wheelchair going through Canada. And that guy's campaign was called Man in Motion. And he kind of talks about how these songs flush themselves out. And it's great. I love that stuff. People might not like it. I love it. It's very cool to hear an interesting story about how things go. I own my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. People like hearing how did you get from point A to point Z, and it's, for me, I find it just as interesting in music. How do you go from this to this massive legendary song, and then he gets to play the song after, which is always very cool. So he did that. He talked about the Josh Groban, I think it's his name, You Raise Me Up. He went into that stuff. What he did, I wasn't sure if he was going to sing. I don't know if he was a singer or not. He had three or four singers that he rotated throughout the night. They were really good. They were all alumni of American Idol and America's Got Talent. And they were fantastic. It's not an easy chore to come in and have to sing Josh Groban or sing Celine Dion, and So he talked about Groban, talked about that. He talked about Celine Dion, and you could tell he's an interesting guy. He's kind of a prick, and I think he's owns it and he's okay with it. He's a real cocky guy. You could tell he's a real pain in the ass to work with, but he delivers, and his results speak for themselves. And you feed that to somebody who's that successful, and it's like, yeah, I don't care how I am, it works, and everybody became rich and famous because of me, so I'm going to keep doing it, and he does. But he's somewhat humbled. I think he knows the level of success he's built, and I think it's a big weight to carry around, and you can kind of see it on him. But he did a couple Celine Dion songs. There was a lot of celebrities in the crowd. Joe Torre, he kept calling out. Joe Torre was in the crowd, a couple rows ahead of us. That was cool. His son-in-law is Tommy Haas, old tennis player. He called him out. And then at one point in the show, which I think was to everybody's surprise, because he's one of his biggest proteges, I guess, is Michael Bublé, was in the crowd with his family, and it was pretty cool. He ended up coming on and doing a song with him, and you could tell, I mean, it was set up, and Michael was wearing sweatshirts and sweatpants, and he was not, like, brought in to perform. That was like, hey, I'm coming to your show. You better jump on fucking stage and do a song with me. And it was fun. It added a lot of fun to the crowd. He did one other thing in the crowd where he called on a couple people and gave them a microphone and let them sing. And he's like, I just got one rule. You gotta know what you're singing, and you gotta be good. And if you don't waste my time. So he had 2 or 3 people in the crowd that handed the microphone. I don't know why he did that when you got too many. Maybe he needed to rest his voice, or I guess not his voice because he's not singing. But there's obviously a reason he slowed the tempo of the show for that. But it was a very intimate affair. It was a very intimate show, which I like those shows a lot. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what other songs he got into. It's escaping me. But he goes through all the hits. He gives you everything you want. And for that, it's a really enjoyable show. This was his last show. I don't know if he's going to come back and do a residency. It didn't sound like it, but you never know. I mean, he obviously doesn't need to do it for the money. So if he enjoyed himself, which he looked like he did, I hope he comes back. I'd like to go see the whole show and finish off and see how the end goes. But I'm guessing the end was the Whitney Houston. And I remember from the documentary, he wrote or produced some big Whitney stuff. Very talented guy, very good show. If he tours, definitely go see him. If you appreciate this kind of stuff like I do, go see him. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give that show an 8.7 probably. It was really entertaining for me. Like I said, I really enjoy hearing the backstory of songs that you've heard your whole life. So he's got a lot of stories and he's got a lot of songs. So for that, go check it out. It's a really good show. And that's pretty much it. If you've seen them, subscribe, comment, let me know what you thought. If you were at that show or any other shows, let me know your thoughts. If you've ever seen him before, let me know your thoughts. If you know him personally, let me know your thoughts. I like reading the comments and hearing everybody's opinion on certain people. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, comment, and I'll see you at the next show. Bye-bye.